Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into some heated political drama straight from Limpopo. The ANC Youth League has come out swinging against outgoing ANC provincial chairperson Stanley Mathabatha, and they are not pulling any punches. They've labeled his resignation from provincial leadership as, and I quote, a sign of cowardice. Now, in South African politics, insults and accusations are nothing new. But when the Youth League decides to call out one of their elders in this fashion, it usually signals deeper cracks within the ruling party. So, let's unpack what's happening here. Mathabatha, who has been at the helm of the ANC in Limpopo since 2014, recently announced that he would be stepping down. His official reasoning was that it's time for generational renewal and organizational unity. On the surface, that sounds noble. It's the kind of language ANC leaders have used for decades to frame their exits as selfless sacrifices for the movement. But the ANC Youth League isn't buying it. According to Phineas Sebela, the provincial secretary of the Youth League, this resignation is not renewal but retreat. He put it bluntly, real leaders don't walk away when things are difficult. They stay and confront the problems head on. And you know what? Whether you agree with him or not, that's a pretty strong statement. The ANCYL basically accused Mathabatha of abandoning ship at a time when Limpopo's ANC is under serious strain, dealing with factional battles, corruption scandals, and a base of supporters that is not as loyal as it used to be. Now, let's pause for a second. Why does this matter beyond Limpopo? Because the ANC in Limpopo has historically been a power bloc in national politics. The province has sent heavyweights to national leadership structures, and when there's trouble there, it ripples through the entire party. If Limpopo is unstable, it adds to the broader perception that the ANC is struggling to hold itself together nationally. Back to Mathabatha. His supporters say this is a dignified exit, that he's making space for younger leaders to rise, and that he's bowing out on his own terms rather than being pushed. But critics, especially from the Youth League, are painting a very different picture. They argue that he failed to offer decisive leadership in recent years. Under his watch, governance in Limpopo has continued to be associated with corruption and inefficiency. Remember the VBS Mutual Bank scandal? Limpopo was ground zero for that saga, and while Mathabatha wasn't personally implicated, the stain of that crisis still lingers on the provincial ANC's reputation. The ANCYL also has political motives of its own. They've been sidelined in many provinces, and calling out Mathabatha gives them a platform to reassert themselves as the so-called vanguard of the movement. By branding his resignation as cowardice, they're positioning themselves as the true defenders of the ANC's fighting spirit. And, let's be honest, the Youth League thrives on strong words and dramatic gestures. This is the same organization that gave us leaders like Julius Malema, after all. They know how to make headlines. But here's where things get even more interesting. Mathabatha's departure leaves a power vacuum in Limpopo, and whenever there's a vacuum in politics, there's a scramble. We can expect a leadership contest, and the Youth League has already made it clear they want people with resilience, energy, and, in their words, a fighting spirit. Translation: they don't want another Mathabatha. They want someone who's loud, uncompromising, and willing to take on both internal enemies and the opposition. That raises another question: could this resignation spark factional wars in Limpopo? Almost certainly. The ANC has a history of bitter provincial battles, and with by-elections and the 2026 local government polls on the horizon, every province will be fighting to show strength. Limpopo is no exception. If anything, the stakes are higher there because the ANC still commands majority support, but that support is fragile. If leadership is weak, opposition parties like the EFF and even the MK party could eat into that support base. Now let's sprinkle in a bit of humor, because politics in South Africa often feels like theatre. Imagine Mathabatha standing at a press conference, saying he's leaving for generational renewal, while the Youth League is at the back shouting, "Don't lie, you're running away." It's almost like a family fight at a wedding, with uncles trying to keep the peace while cousins hurl insults across the table. And the rest of us, the voters, are sitting there with our plates of food, wondering if dessert will still be served. But in all seriousness, there's a bigger issue here: leadership accountability. Should leaders stay and fight through challenges, or should they step aside to make way for fresh energy? The ANC has always wrestled with this question. Think about how many times leaders have said they're stepping down for unity or renewal. Yet, often, these departures are timed conveniently, either to avoid being pushed out or to leave before a tough election. Mathabatha's exit will also affect Cyril Ramaphosa's national project. Limpopo has been one of Ramaphosa's strongest support bases inside the ANC. If the province falls into chaos, it could weaken his standing as he tries to balance the fragile government of national unity and manage national coalition politics. That's why the Youth League's attack is more than just provincial noise. It could signal cracks in Ramaphosa's broader strategy. So, what happens next? Well, expect a fierce leadership contest in Limpopo. The Youth League will back candidates who are younger, more outspoken, and eager to challenge the status quo. Older leaders will argue for continuity and stability. And somewhere in the middle, the ANC will try to keep everyone from tearing the house down completely. It's a classic ANC story: unity on paper, division in practice. Let me leave you with this thought. When the ANCYL calls Mathabatha a coward, they're really asking whether the ANC still has leaders with the courage to face crises head-on. Limpopo is a microcosm of the ANC's national struggles: corruption scandals, declining trust, leadership disputes, and generational divides. Whether Mathabatha's resignation is renewal or retreat, it shines a bright light on the ruling party's deeper problems. So, what do you think? Was Mathabatha acting with dignity, stepping aside for the next generation, or was the Youth League right to call him a coward who abandoned the fight? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you found it insightful, subscribe to the channel for more South African political commentary, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next deep dive. Thank you for watching, and as always, see you next time.